Ian Huntley, Stuart Hazel, Mitchell Quay and Karen Matthews are some of the most notorious criminals of recent years. All convicted for different crimes, but all with one thing in common.
I loved her to bits. She's like my own daughter.
They all lied on camera about the crimes they themselves had committed.
Whoever's got Shannon, just please let her go.
Just seemed like normal, happy kids.
Obviously the question has to be put, did you kill her?
No.
We put the lies of these criminals who fooled Britain under the microscope.
I just want to know she's safe and well. I want to know she's out there.
While we all hope we can distinguish truth from a lie, it's not always the case.
Majority of people are about 50% correct in detecting lies. They may just as well toss a coin.
As experts scrutinise these cover-ups, we unpack the science of lying, the body language and the telltale signs.
The body contradicts the words. This is a lie.
And the criminal mind.
Psychopath really enjoys lying.
Do I look like a psychopath? But what does a psychopath look like?
We look to the future of lie detection.
Have you lied in this interview?
Well, no doubt the day will come when you could have an application on your iPhone pointed at somebody and see if they were lying to you or not.
Once you know what liars really do when they're lying to you, you'll never look at people the same again.
I'm going to catch my daughter's killer. Please help us catch my daughter's killer.
This man is telling the truth.
Just give it up, you killed them.
This man is lying.
Don't find it difficult to come home.
But what about this man?
Please come home, Lindsay.
He's telling the truth.
People aren't good at detecting lies because they look for the wrong cues. My job is to help them look for the right cues.
Dr. Sharon Leal specialises in the verbal cues high-stake liars often give off and advises police forces and governments all over the world.
People can train themselves to be good liars, but with our methods, it actually doesn't help them.
A specialist in the physical signs of deception, Cliff Lansley heads the Paul Ekman School of Micro-Expressions. He trains staff within the police and foreign intelligence services.
In high-stake lies, these signals that come off the body are virtually impossible to hide. And we give information that we may not want others to know.
Working in prisons with child murderers and serial killers is an expert on criminal personality types, psychologist Kerry Danes.
In terms of the criminal mind, we can analyse the person's behaviour literally down to what's going on in their brain and why they are the way that they are.
As lie detection methods begin to influence police training, this programme has brought together 3 leading experts to shed light on the lies behind the crimes.
But it's very frustrating knowing that we have people that way inclined amongst us and us not knowing who they are.
Double child murderer Ian Huntley is one of the most reviled criminals of recent years. He moved to Cambridgeshire just 11 months before the disappearance of Jessica Chapman and Holly Wells. For a week, the town of Soham was under siege as everyone tried to find them. A school caretaker, Huntley found himself in the media spotlight after being identified as the last person to see the girls before they went missing.
I keep reliving that conversation and thinking perhaps something different could have been said. Perhaps kept them here a little bit longer, maybe changed events.
What the local police and public didn't know was that Huntley had been the subject of numerous allegations of indecent assault, underage sex with girls as young as 10, and 9 allegations of rape.
Ian Huntley was a predatory psychopath. In his younger days, he strangled a disobedient puppy in front of other school children. Now, this tells you all that you need to know. This is somebody who is sadistic.
When the 10-year-olds walked past his house that fateful summer's day, he lured them in and murdered them. Initially, Huntley escaped detection because of the false alibi provided by his girlfriend, Maxine Carr, who was the girl's classroom assistant.
I stood on the front doorstep grooming my dog down. She'd run away and come back a bit of a mess.
But for our experts, Huntley's seemingly natural performance gives away minute clues.
We've got a real contradiction between what the body is saying and what the voice is saying. The fact that he moves his shoulder only 1 or 2 millimetres, like this, is an indication of his lacking confidence with the positive words he's saying. We call that a micro-gesture. In its full extent, this means I don't know, or I'm not sure of what I've just said. He also does a slight head shake no.
I didn't see anything untoward, nobody hanging around.
Very minor, very hard to see. And it's that contradiction. The words are saying one thing, the body is saying a different one.
And it's a mystery?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody around here, I mean, I've been speaking to a lot of people, and what they're saying is, you know, while there's no news, then there's still that glimmer of hope, and that's basically all we're all hanging on to.
The day after this interview, as Huntley's alibi was exposed and his violent past came to light, the police brought him in for questioning.
I remember looking at the Man United tops, thinking good taste.
Huntley barely moves a muscle, which for experts is another key giveaway.
Kept looking over. I made the slowed the walking right down.
I would spot a liar by looking for signs of thinking hard. We call it cognitive load, but basically all that technical term means is thinking hard. A motivated liar will appear calm, quite still, so they're not fidgeting, they're not moving around. You've got all these things going on in your head that you want to keep your story straight, you don't want to appear suspicious, and also the brain has to suppress the truthful responses because they're there in your head. All of these things take a lot of mental resources, and this has an effect physically on us in that it actually stills your behaviour. What I'd like you to do is start moving your arms up and down as fast as you can, and then start pacing.
Dr. Leal demonstrates cognitive load in this simple experiment. The point is that either movement or speech has to slow down when someone is thinking hard. You cannot do both.
OK, now say the alphabet. A, B, C, D.
H, I, J, K.
OK, keep going as fast as you can.
It's easy for the student to say the alphabet and keep her movement steady because this isn't stressing her intellectually.
Right, now start saying the alphabet backwards. Z, Y, X.
Y, X. Oh, I don't know. Z, Y, X. U, T.
But the moment she's asked to do something more difficult, something has to give. Either her speech or her movement.
Oh. No, I've got no idea.
OK, thank you.
For the student, the least difficult part was flapping her arms, so she kept doing that. But what suffered was her speech. She was unable to recite the alphabet as fluently as she could have done had she kept still and been able to concentrate on getting the words right. Of course, for a liar, it's all about the words, as is clear in the case of Huntley.
A high-stake liar will keep their story straight. That's the most important thing to them. They're not worried about what their movements are. They're not thinking about that.
Did anything else happen?
So it's a little bit like a swan. If you imagine there's very still and calm on top, the liar will be, but, you know, inside the brain is paddling like hell.
In his police interview, as motionless as he is, Huntley's body language gives away another clue.
Huntley's body is his weakness, it's his telltale sign.
Throughout any of this, Ian, was there any occasion that you actually came into contact, physical contact, with the girls?
Physical contact?
So Huntley is defending himself against, in his mind, an attack with a direct question. He clamps his right arm. He starts manipulating, which he's not been doing before. So it's an increase in manipulator's self-comfort because he's under stress here. And then he repeats the question back.
Physical contact?
He does understand the question. He's repeating it back to buy himself more time. And even before he gets affirmation, he says no. But there's another piece of leakage. When he says no, the volume drops about 50%.
Physical contact?
And we can use the voice volume to distance ourselves from a lie.
As the pressure mounts, the cognitive load is apparent when he's asked a simple question about what one of the girls looked like.
I would say blonde hair. Not shoulder length. Very slim.
Knowing that the slightest slip-up could give him away, he physically shuts down for over a minute as his mind struggles under the pressure.
I can't remember anything else about her.
Huntley's girlfriend, Maxine Carr, later testified he'd demanded she tell police she was at home when the girls passed by, insisting his past allegations would make him the prime suspect. With the ever-present threat of his violence hanging over her, Carr said this is why she covered for Huntley and repeated his version of events.
Lovely, walking, laughing. They was happy as Larry. There was nothing wrong with them. They weren't upset or anything like that.
It doesn't condone Maxine Carr's actions, but often it's easier to lie for somebody else because you can convince yourself that you're doing it for all the right reasons. And I think that Maxine must have convinced herself that he must have been innocent.
Maxine, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. That's very kind of you.
Okay. In her interviews, Maxine's relaxed demeanour fooled even seasoned journalists.
Maxine Carr seemed plausible. She explained that she hadn't seen the girls that day because she was upstairs having a bath. And the remarkable thing was, and not one word of it was true. She wasn't even in the house. She wasn't even in Cambridgeshire when it happened. But she was a very accomplished liar. As accomplished a liar as I've ever seen, actually.
When Carr was interviewed by the police, most of the time she was telling the truth and appeared animated.
Did they do it?
I've asked him 18 times what they said. Did they actually ask for me? Which directions did they come in?
Yeah.
Did they say where they were going? Did they say anything about barbecue? I mean, I've made him feel like a suspect in his own right, really.
Maxine Carr was in a violent relationship, but we've got to remember she loved Huntley. And when you're in love with somebody, you have truth bias. You want to believe that they're telling you the truth.
One Sunday or another Sunday is very much alike to us, I suppose.
While the police were interviewing the couple, a search of the school where Huntley was the caretaker revealed Jessica and Holly's partially burnt football tops. Huntley's lie was exposed, and the couple were arrested. When police revealed the awful crime her lies had helped to conceal, Carr's horror is apparent in her voice.
His fingerprints have been found on the bag the clothing was in. Now, you wanted facts, and you wanted to know about the forensic side.
From the moment of his arrest, Huntley acted confused, feigning insanity, a pretense he kept up for months. At his trial, he claimed he'd killed both girls by accident.
Ian Huntley is prone to cognitive distortions. People who express their anger and power in violence against females will bend their thinking to fit their own needs, and they will deceive themselves as much as they will deceive other people.
But finally, the only person left believing his lies was Huntley himself, and he received a double life sentence for murder. Maxine Carr's lie got her 3.5 years for perverting the course of justice. She's now free and living under a new identity. But Huntley is not alone in these audacious attempts to fool the public and mask the truth.
I know deep down in my heart that Tia walked out of my house. What happened after that is I don't know.
There are many ways to spot a liar, and to experts the clues can be obvious.
The verbal signs, they're the best signs to actually look for. People can already be better lie detectors if they simply listen.
The verbal clues fall into several key categories. The first is called impression management.
Liars will try and come across as being a very nice, genuine person. They will be trying to manage how they look.
I just wish I'd said, I'd said something different.
Liars do that far more than truth tellers will. Truth tellers are oblivious about how their story's coming across.
I want to catch my daughter's killer. Please help us catch my daughter's killer.
Truth tellers have something we call the illusion of transparency. It's because that in their heart they know they're truthful and they think, well, I'll just be honest, I'll just tell the truth, and it's bound to shine through. They feel as almost that people can see into your soul and know you're telling the truth. But sadly, this isn't the case.
If you don't know the signs to look for, the innocent can appear guilty. Much of the public believed Joanne Lees had murdered her boyfriend because of how she conducted herself.
I've got a problem with all press that distort the truth and doubt my story.
It took her 4 years to clear her name.
The minute I got near the tent, I could see all her blankets spread from one end of the tent to the other.
Although innocent, many disbelieved Lindy Chamberlain's account of her baby having been taken by a wild dog. She spent just over 3 years in jail.
I ran out of the tent. I said to Michael, the dingo's got the baby.
In this, the McCanns' first press appeal, how they seemed was the last thing on their minds.
Words cannot describe the anguish and despair that we are feeling as the parents of our beautiful daughter, Madeline.
He's brought out the list of things he must be certain to remember. He won't think that looks suspicious. A liar might believe that that is suspicious. There's been a lot of controversy about whether or not the McCanns are innocent or guilty. From my point of view, is they are 100% innocent.
Another man innocent of killing his daughter, but presumed guilty by the public on the basis of his appeal, was Gordon Reimer.
Don't find it difficult to come home. Please come home, Lindsay.
He's not trying to create a favourable impression. In fact, exactly the opposite. He looks all over the place. He inappropriately smiles. It doesn't strike me as a typical lie, because a liar would not behave like this.
So our belief in our own ability to spot a liar can have dangerous consequences for innocent people who are not aware of how they appear to others.
A liar will think very much about how he or she is coming across. They'll be calm and appear confident.
I know deep down in my heart that Tia walked out my house.
In 2012, Stuart Hazel went on television claiming he was uninvolved in the disappearance of his step-granddaughter, Tia Sharp.
They asked me stupid questions yesterday, like, oh, did you do anything? I said, well, no, I bloody didn't. Excuse my language, but no, I didn't. I'd never think of that. I'd loved her to bits. She's like my own daughter.
He was lying. In fact, he had murdered Tia, a 12-year-old who adored him and called him Grandad.
Hazel overall is a rather sad and pathetic character. He's inadequate, he's got drink problems, he's got a history of petty offending. And here he found a family who accepted him and valued him.
These are the last pictures of Tia alive. Hazel took her home knowing that his partner, Tia's grandmother, would be away all night. After drinking heavily, he sexually assaulted her, then suffocated her and hid her body in the loft.
Hazel had had a growing infatuation with Tia. I don't think that he planned to kill her, but I do believe that he planned to sexually assault her. And it may be that Tia was not the kind of girl that would have kept his secret.
When she went missing, the only difference...
Nick Scholar was the lead officer in the search for the missing girl.
We found out that he wasn't actually a grandfather, he was an unrelated adult male. He did have previous convictions for violence. He was the last person to see her alive, and he'd spent the night alone with her.
As these details emerged, for the press, Hazel became the prime suspect. But Tia's family believed him and persuaded him to clear his name by giving an interview. Hazel spoke knowing that Tia's body was hidden just feet above their heads.
Talk me through Friday up until the last time you see her. Tell me exactly what you did.
Exactly what I did. Well, basically, I woke up in the morning, I come downstairs, done my usual thing, what I do. I come down, open the back door, let the dogs run around for a bit.
One of Hazel's main strategies is to try and emphasise the fact that he's a caregiver, that he loves Tia and would do nothing to harm her.
So I'll give her a tenner. She helped me do the washing up like the night before, just a little bit of dusting and stuff like that, do you know what I mean?
Stuart Hazel says that, I gave Tia a tenner and he's been cooking her these dinners. He got her a sausage roll.
She had toast and then she wanted a sausage roll because she's always eating sausage rolls.
You get that a lot, that people will slip in little cues about how nice they are, and liars do that far more than truth-tellers.
I gave her a tenner. I think her mum might have given her £4 or something, but the day before I gave her a couple of quid because she bought some sweets, which she's still got in the fridge now.
The second verbal clue to deception is how much liars say and what they focus on.
Another myth is that liars won't say much. In fact, liars will talk a lot, but not about the event. They'll try and take people off on a tangent and talk about anything else other than the actual part, the crucial part.
Maxine Carr does this in her police interview when recounting the false alibi for Huntley.
Do you have a full Sunday lunch like Sunday
roast
brunch?
beef, Yorkshire puddings, and cauliflower, cabbage, and roast potatoes. And
so you prepared all that?
Yeah.
Ian's still in the house
I
there?
cook the beef on the Saturday. I always cook the beef on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Maxine is creating an impression of honesty.
And is that a normal thing that he would do after dinner on a Sunday?
It is when I want him out the way.
And did you want him out that way?
Yeah, because I wanted to get on with the flaming pots and the housework and everything. And he's no good to me. He's absolutely no good in that respect.
In that department?
She's watching the interviewer, she's trying to pretend to be relaxed, she picks up her coffee, she smiles at the interviewer. Liars are more likely to try and get you on board as well. They want you to be their friend. If you like people, you're less likely to believe that they're lying to you. So she's definitely managing how she's appearing.
Washing up.
In a 40-minute interview about the missing girl, Hazel spends much of it talking about trivia.
The hoovering, I was doing hoovering there, but I started off sweeping up in there, but where we have a rug, I can't sweep the rug, so I had to hoover the rug because it's like really fluffy, so I've hoovered the rug off. When I've got the dog's bed, I emptied the dog's bed's out. I've got out there.
This is just so much ridiculous detail.
I've come back with another cigarette. This time too, I've gone upstairs, got the washing.
Truth tellers summarise, so they will give the just an overview of what happened, of what they think is important for you to know.
In 1996, in his truthful appeal for his missing daughter, Mark Bottomley described the last time he saw her.
She bought some new jeans. She bought a new tape as well. She came back. She showed me her jeans on her. She, sort of wiggling about, showed me her jeans. And
truth tellers don't actually perceive that there's any gaps there or they should be doing anything different.
Bottomley's appeal also demonstrates the third key verbal clue in distinguishing a truth teller from a liar: the ability to recall conversations.
She was really happy, she was. And she went out. I said, "See, I'm going out now, Dad." And she went out. Right, see you soon.
Hazel, on the other hand, cannot recall anything Tia said.
By then, Tia's going upstairs to get changed. She was still mumbling away. I can't remember what she was bloody on about.
Tia's mumbling, she's blabbering. He's not giving any interaction because there was no interaction.
She was telling me what she was doing, but I weren't really logging it into my head. I didn't.
What you normally find is in truthful interactions, I said, "Do you want some toast?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, I'm starving, yes, please." And he doesn't do that. He can give every single detail, apparently, of how he shook the dog bed, but he can't come up with any credible conversation that happened between him and Tia.
People have seen her. People have seen her leave this house.
What Hazel is also doing here is diverting suspicion from himself. The fourth verbal clue liars use to manage the impression they're giving. This is also something Huntley does.
You're the school caretaker. The girls, Jessica and Holly, would know you. What went on?
Well, I don't know the girls.
Now, liars typically distance themselves from their crimes in some way.
It seems now that you are one of the last people to see them and possibly the last person to speak to them.
Not to see them, no, but to speak to them, I possibly believe that I am.
Now, a truth teller would be less concerned about facts like that because they don't feel that they look so suspicious.
Stuart, say Tia's listening to this, watching this, talk to her.
Tia, come on, babe. Come on. Come and eat your dinner. I want me £10 back from my garden.
Yeah,
we love you, babe.
We want it back to normal.
Please.
The day after this interview, the police searched the house again, and evidence of his lies was discovered.
The smell of death was in the house, and Stuart Hazel had gone missing. Shortly after that, we sealed the house off and did a fuller forensic search, which led us to the discovery of Tia's body in the loft.
Hazel was spotted later that day, drunk and telling anyone who'd listened that he was Tia's grandfather and was looking for her. He was arrested near Wimbledon Common. He eventually pleaded guilty to murder and is now serving a life sentence. For most criminals, the lie covers the crime, but for one mother, her lie became the crime.
Police
emergency. I want the cotton daughter is missing, please. Right, how old is she? 9. Yeah. When did you last see her? She went to school this morning. Right, have there been any arguments or... No, not at all.
Very quickly, the whole community turned out to help, and the police and press response was massive. Karen Matthews appealed for her daughter.
If anybody's got my daughter, my beautiful princess daughter, please bring her home safe.
One journalist who covered the case and got to know Karen was Richard Edwards.
I was utterly convinced that this was every inch the distressed mother going through some sort of unbearable agony.
But the experts, like behavioural analyst Cliff Lansley, can spot flaws in Karen's performance.
Tell me about...
See, the voice here is shaky, but we see no evidence in the brows and no evidence in the mouth of genuine sadness.
There was no sadness because Karen knew exactly where her daughter was. She later claimed, as part of a plan to leave her partner Craig, she had asked an acquaintance, Mick Donovan, to pick Shannon up and keep her at his house until Karen could get away with her other children. But when Craig asked why Shannon had not come home, Karen panicked and called 999, never expecting the enormity of the response.
You can't underestimate the excitement, but also the initial trepidation that Karen Matthews must have felt with media camped out on her doorstep and lots of attention from the police and all of the community rallying around her. This was a woman who lived a very drab existence and had probably not been singled out for any kind of attention that wasn't negative in the past.
Matthews was not a sophisticated liar, and as the campaign gained momentum, this showed more and more.
She will appear to be upset, only superficially upset, in front of the cameras, but she can't contain her excitement at what's going on around her. She just hasn't got the self-control to maintain the lie.
We're looking for lies and truth. In truth, the signals from the body are consistent with what they're saying. In lies, there's a clash.
Perturbed by these inconsistencies, the police tested Matthews by putting her in front of the cameras, a technique they often use.
The more and more she said, the more and more suspicious we got. And it's clear from some of the comments made on some of her press appeals that she probably did know exactly where Shannon was.
Well, I think that somebody out there who knows Shannon was supposed to probably know me as well.
When people lie, they're very focused on what they say, and they've got less control and less focus over what they do.
I just want her home safe, really.
Do you want her home? Yes. Is she still alive? Yes. It doesn't make sense.
After 23 days and a £3 million police operation, Shannon was found in Mick Donovan's flat. While the community celebrated, Karen knew her lies were about to unravel. 4 days later, she broke down and confessed to friends in the presence of a police liaison officer and was immediately arrested.
Well, I mean, why did you phone the police when you knew where she was?
Nobody suspected anything.
And how would, by phoning the police, people not suspect you? What did you hope to achieve by that?
What do you mean by that?
I think the whole lie that Karen had told, she never really understood the enormity of the situation that she put herself in.
Well, you said that I'd phone the police so nobody'd suspect anything. What do you mean?
I think so Craig wouldn't suspect me doing what we're doing with Shannon, as in leaving him and stuff.
So this again was part of your act, to make it look like you were genuinely missing?
Yeah.
The end thing that she said, well, what were I supposed to do? Tell the truth so everybody knew I was a liar? And the answer was, yes, Karen, you should have known.
Karen Matthews may not have killed anybody, but she's certainly reviled because she was willing to put her own child through such torment, and she was clearly a very inadequate and neglectful mother.
Sentenced to 8 years for kidnap, Karen Matthews is now free. While she had become trapped in her lie, one killer revelled in his lie so much it became a game which took over his life.
Obviously the question has to be put, I mean, did you kill her?
No, not at all.
Experts believe that the clues to when we are lying are not only found in what we say, but are written all over our faces too. They are called micro-expressions, those almost imperceptible flashes of emotion which betray our true feelings.
The beauty of micro-expressions is they leak without knowing it, and we give information that we may not want others to know. So if we're lying, even with this knowledge of facial expressions, most people can't suppress it or stop it.
So I'm stuck in here like a prisoner.
One giveaway moment in murderer Stuart Hazel's face is when he talks about the possibility that Tia, the missing girl he's killed, might be dead.
I can't do nothing. There's nothing I can do, because as soon as I walk out, they're all over me. I want to be out there looking in field, don't want to find her in the field.
He's now feeling scared. This is his neutral face, but this is fear. He's just realised I've just said that she could be dead.
Don't want to find her in the field.
I've been claiming that she's alive. It's very quick, it's less than a fifth a second, but it gives away what he's feeling. What we can hear is the panic, 2 deep breaths, and criticises himself with a very slight head shake no of what have I done. He's changed his story to the truth that she's dead, so he knows he's made a mistake.
The most telling micro-expressions displayed by some killers are inappropriate sadness and pleasure.
Hi, Mitch. You nervous?
When 17-year-old Lindsay Wilson married Mitchell Quay, she had no idea that he was a psychopath.
Mitchell Quay is a deeply unpleasant character who used physical and sexual violence frequently. He's a wife beater.
Lindsay was trying to leave Quay when she went missing just before Christmas 1998. Quay insisted that she'd walked out on him and her 2 young children. Her disappearance was investigated by one of the most experienced detectives on Merseyside.
Mitchell Quay was a very convincing liar. There's no way she would have left those 2 children with a man she despised and was about to divorce. There was just no credibility to it at all.
Quay felt confident that without Lindsay's body or any evidence, he was free to lie at will.
We'd had trouble in our relationship, and we decided to separate before Christmas. But we were going to stay together through Christmas and then split up after.
If you notice Quay's facial expression here, he looks concerned, the raising of the inner eye, upwards of the inner eyebrows. People can fake facial expressions.
This false sadness is demonstrated by other killers to conceal their guilt.
Huntley and Hazel do this. They bring the brows together and squeeze it to fake concern.
How do they seem to you?
They seem fine, very cheerful, happy, chatty.
How do you move forward from here?
I don't.
This is often used by children to fake sadness.
Acting the abandoned father, Quay went all out to court the media protesting his innocence.
Do you believe that Lindsay is still alive?
Well, I saw her leave. She came back to pick her clothes up, and I've seen her since. My house has been searched 3 times, it's been turned over 3 times, I've taken items. I'm hoping that now they are going to start really looking for her.
Do you think you're in your own mind that she could possibly be dead?
No, not at all.
You know, you've got this finger of suspicion pointing at you, and obviously the question has to be put. I mean, did you kill her?
No, I just wish someone had listened to me.
This just shows that liars can look you straight in the eye, and they will look you straight in the eye.
I keep reliving that conversation.
There was nothing wrong with them, they weren't upset or anything like that.
And I wasn't the last person to see her.
As children, our parents have said to us, look me in the eye and tell me the truth. But of course, we learn how to deceive our parents. Adults, I can assure you, will look you straight in the eye because they want to convince you.
A year after Lindsay's disappearance, in what was to be his final act of deception, Quay went to the lengths of inviting a documentary crew into his home.
Psychopaths, by their nature, are pathological liars.
I'm not a psychopath. Do I look like a psychopath? But what does a psychopath look like? I mean, that's the thing you've got to ask yourself.
But Mitchell Quay takes it quite to another level because he actually enjoys the lie. He revels in the lie.
Experts call this display of happiness duping delight.
Duping delight is the pleasure you get from fooling someone. And this will be increased if you've got an audience, which he clearly has.
Can I just say again, and it's not a stupid question, it's a very serious question,
Did you kill Lindsay?
Wait and find out. Just wait and find out.
You'll see both sides of the mouth start to rise, and he's consciously suppressing this smug joy that he's feeling. He probably realises this is coming on his face, even though it's hard to control. It's a micro-expression, and so he attempts to suppress it by tightening his lips.
Simply because I don't need to. Don't mind, because eventually everyone will find out.
And as you can see here, this is a reliable indicator of contempt, of I'm smarter than you, I'm getting away with this, and there's nothing you can prove against me.
Another criminal whose face betrayed clear signs of duping delight was Fadi Nasri.
It's completely changed my life. You know, there's no words that can explain what it has done.
He went on television to appeal for his wife's killer to come forward, when in fact he had hired the hitman. For over a year, Nasri's performance fooled everyone around him.
Nasri was a convincing liar. He never said anything that we could catch him out on.
Obviously, someone's got a guilty conscience. They'll be worrying about what they've done, or shocked, or maybe it was an accident or mistake, or whatever.
I never thought he would have been involved in killing his wife.
But the almost imperceptible signs he was lying were written on his face.
Obviously, someone's got a guilty conscience.
In less than half a second, we see a leakage of happiness. From 2 frames to 7 frames, that smile has disappeared. It's showing on his mouth, it's showing on the eyes. This orbicularis oculi muscle is contracting slightly. There's a slight crease on the bottom eye cover fold that gives that away. But this is a genuine feeling of happiness, which shows against the words here. He feels he's on top and he's getting away with this. He's taking pleasure.
Nasri got away with it for 9 months. But after the police traced the murder weapon to the hitman he'd hired, both were sentenced to life. His pleasure at having escaped detection for so long could only be seen in fleeting glimpses, whereas Kwai's duping delight had become all-consuming.
Psychopaths want to ensure that they can convince people. It's not just good enough that they get away with stuff, they want to beat you. They're different to other liars in that part of their investment is the game, is proving to themselves that they're cleverer than you.
The police have been going around interviewing all of the people that I've ever slept with and stuff like that. I mean, I know they're clutching at straws now, like, but what do they think? I shagged her to death or something, do you know what I mean?
Confident he would never be caught, Kwai goaded the police for 18 months. But they bided their time, and with media attention waning, he became frustrated.
Kwai might want to get caught on some level, even an unconscious level, because knowing himself privately what he has done and gotten away with just isn't enough anymore.
He had a friend called Ray, and one day he had a few drinks with him, and at one point said to him, "I killed a Ray." And, of course, that was reported back to us.
3 officers from a search team are in Mitchell Kwai's house at the moment.
The police brought Kwai in. After all his months of lying and 32 hours of questioning, it took just 1 hour alone in a cell for the murderer to finally break.
The reason I think Mitchell Kwai confessed is he couldn't resist. He's the type of individual that couldn't resist telling us about what he'd done.
She says, right, I'm getting divorced, I'm going to take the kids away from you, you're not going to see the kids. And I just went, I just snapped, just got hold of her. And I just couldn't let go. There was tears down the side of her eyes. Her face had gone blue. She was laying there and she was dead. We decided that to dispose of the body was to cut her into pieces.
The final scene of Kwai's performance came as he led police to the various places he'd buried Lindsay's body parts.
He was like an actor performing. Straight away, he would seek out where the camera was. No tears, no wanting to hide his head, as a lot of people do. He just was brazen. Look at me, here I am, Mitchell Kwai. I'm leading the police to where I've put my wife's body parts.
Jailed for life in 2001, Kwai's downfall was his love of the camera. And in fact, cameras may play a huge part in the future of lie detection.
Have you lied in this interview?
I haven't.
are many valuable tools in detecting lies, including cognitive load.
They sound like mumbling.
The stilling effect thinking intently has on the body.
Obviously, someone's got a guilty conscience.
Micro-expressions.
In less than half a second, we see a leakage of happiness.
And verbal tells, such as talking too much about irrelevant details.
When I've got the dog's bed, I empty the dog's beds out.
I cooked the beef on the Saturday. I always cook the beef on the Saturday.
For experts, scientific method is essential. Without it, our natural urge is to look for information that backs up what we already think and ignore anything that goes against that view. It's called confirmation bias, and it can make people jump to the wrong conclusions.
Humans aren't passive receivers of information. We look for cues that support our beliefs.
As witnessed in the case of Chris Jeffries, an innocent man who faced trial by media in 2010, having been wrongfully suspected of murdering his neighbour, Joanna Yates. This is confirmation bias at work.
People will look for information that supports their existing views because it actually makes them feel good. They think, oh, I was right, I know this. That increases their self-esteem, and we all do it.
Invented in the 20s, the polygraph was supposed to take human bias out of lie detection. Often called a lie detector, it works by measuring stress levels in the body.
The polygraph isn't a lie detector per se. What a polygraph does is measure your heart rate, your respiration, skin conductance, but it doesn't detect lies.
If stress levels rise when answering questions, it's an indication that the person may be lying. But there's a problem.
Truth tellers will be nervous if they're asked a challenging question. It's always assumed that only liars will be the ones to get nervous about questions. You know, were you unfaithful to your wife? Anybody would be nervous about those kind of questions.
First, innocuous questions are asked to establish a base stress level.
While you were outside, were you chatting to your friend Louis?
Oh, yes.
And then the important question.
Did you steal the money from the handbag?
No.
As you can see from the screen, George's nerves have gone through the roof, his heart rate has increased. If you ask innocent people questions, they can equally get nervous if they feel that they're put under pressure. It's what's inferred from that we have to be careful about with the polygraph.
But as technology advances, the world of lie detection may be about to change. Scientists at Manchester Metropolitan University have spent a decade developing a computer program which, although in its infancy, measures not stress but minute facial expressions. The team has recorded the faces of thousands of people when they are lying and when they are telling the truth. This information is then loaded into the computer's ever-expanding database.
Silent Talker looks at lots of very fine-grained facial features while it's working, and it looks at so many of them that it's impossible to control this combination to put over a convincing appearance of lying, and so it's impossible for a human to beat it.
So if anybody's out there, can you let Shannon go, please?
Silent Talker works by judging individual statements to be true, unknown, or a lie. It then groups 3 together in a row, assigning green for true, red for deception, and other colours in between if there was a mixture of truth and lies. The team claims a 90% accuracy rate for Silent Talker, and to demonstrate the technology, 2 students took part in an experiment. Both were instructed to find a £10 note in the briefcase. One was told to keep it.
So how much money was in the briefcase?
£10.
Okay. And what did you do with the money?
I examined it and then put it back into the bag.
I left it in the briefcase. Are you sure that you didn't take the money from the briefcase?
Very sure.
Positive. Have you lied in this interview?
I haven't.
Have you lied in this interview? No.
After careful analysis of the results, Silent Talker correctly identified which of the students was lying.
And have you lied in this interview? No.
There are a huge number of potential applications for Silent Talker. Some of the most obvious are border control at airports and ports, and also in police interviews to catch guilty people.
We applied Silent Talker to some of the cases in this programme.
First thing I do if Lindsay came back is hug her. So, I'd be happy to know she's all right. She's the children's mother.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Was that when she went to school?
Yeah.
Don't find it difficult to come home.
Please come home, Lindsay.
So far, Silent Talker has been tested in lab conditions, mostly on male students, but will soon be trialled by a British police force. However, it will of course never be a replacement for hard evidence.
If you imagine a world where people can't get away with lying, that's a very different world from the one we're in now. And what level do you take it to? No doubt the day will come when you could have a silent talker on your iPhone or Android and actually point it at somebody and see if they were lying to you or not.
If he's right, getting away with a lie could become a thing of the past. But until then, armed with a clearer knowledge of how people actually lie, hopefully we all have a better chance of spotting the liars in our own lives.
Once you know what liars really do when they're lying to you, you'll never look at people the same again. You'll always be conscious of it.
Barnaby and the team are back in brand new Midsummer Murders here tomorrow night at 8. And tonight, coming face to face for one compelling interview with Keane and Vieira, the best of enemies, here at 10:35.